Hello everyone, I'm Bingjo. Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to sketch a quadratic equation graph. Alright, so the title for today is how to sketch a quadratic graph. Alright, in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Alright, so there are not much of introduction to be done, so let's go straight into it. So from the last video, from previous, okay, I have shown you guys on the in the form of ax squared plus b, where you will have this one or the inverted one if a is a negative value. So in this video, we're going to talk about what if the given one, the question is sketch, all right, ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, how are you going to sketch it? Because from the last video, you will see that the lowest point is always along the y-axis because there are no middle term here. But then now we have a bx term here. All right, so there are a few steps, or I wouldn't say it's a few information that we need before we start to sketch the graph. Info that we need. All right, number one, we need to determine whether it's a minimum or maximum graph. All right, so this is one thing. The second thing is we need to determine the turning point. All right, the turning point. Number three, we need to determine is the x-intercept. Number four is the y-intercept. All right, with all this, we are ready to start to sketch a graph. All right, so I'm gonna giving. I have prepared actually three different examples here. So I'm going to show you how we are going to sketch a quadratic graph. All right, so let's go. Example number one. E.g. number one here, I have prepared the sketch. All right, sketch y equals to 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. All right, so from the info just now, we need a few things. So info that we need, all right, minimum or maximum. All right, this is number one. Number two is the turning point. All right, and then number three is x-intercept, and number four is y-intercept. All right, so from here, what we need to do is to determine whether it's minimum or maximum. All right, so in order to determine minimum or maximum, we need to look at the coefficient of a. All right, a coefficient of x squared. If this will be minimum if coefficient of x squared is positive. All right, and this will be maximum if coefficient of x squared is negative. All right, or in other words, your teacher might have told you to determine whether a is larger than 0. All right, so if it's larger than 0, meaning it's positive, then it's minimum. So in this case, 2 is a positive number. So we know that this is a minimum graph. All right, what is a minimum graph and a maximum graph? Okay, so I'm going to go back here. All right, note here. Note. Minimum graph means that you have a minimum point. A minimum point in turn shows that the graph is a U-shaped graph because we have a minimum point here. All right. And on the other hand, maximum graph means that you have a maximum point, which means it's an inverted U shape, so that you have a maximum point here. All right. So this is the difference between a minimum and a maximum graph. So first thing here, you already know it's a minimum graph. So the second thing here we need to look for is the turning point. All right. So for turning point, how do you look for turning point? The answer is by completing the squares. All right. So this is to complete the squares. So in that video, I have taught you how to complete the squares. So if you don't know how to complete the squares, please refer back to the video that I've shown. All right. So number two, complete the squares. So y equals to 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. All right. By completing the squares, first thing we need to take out the 2. So we need to make sure that the coefficient of the term x squared is 1. plus 2x plus 5 divided by 2. All right, so this is the first step. The second step is we need to create a square bracket so that the inside here d is equals to the coefficient of x divided by 2 square, always minus the square of the number d here, so it's minus 1, and then bring down plus 5 over 2. Okay, so from here we can further continue. It's 2 bracket x plus 1 square plus 3 over 2. All right, simple. Okay, and then lastly we will expand this in, so it's equal to 2 bracket x plus 1 square plus 3. All right, so you might ask, okay, so from here how are we going to look for the turning point here? Okay, so listen up. Turning point here, all right, for turning point, this one equals to 0 means the x coordinate for turning point, and this here means the y coordinate for the turning point. All right, it's just that easy. All right, so from here we know that let's go back to the blue color. X plus 1 is equal to 0, x equals to negative 1, and then y equals to 3. Therefore, we get that the turning point is negative 1 and 3. Therefore, turning point is negative 1 and 3. All right, so the next thing here, x-intercept. X-intercept can be found very easily by just y equals to 0, because from a graph here, as you can see, this is the x-axis. All right, I think I'm gonna draw a graph down here. Okay, let's change this, and then let's draw this x, and this is y. All right, so as you can see here, at x-axis here, when the graph passes through the x-axis, y is always equals to 0. So you can find the x-intercept by just subbing y equals to 0 into this completed square here. All right, so you can just press your calculator here. You can find out that the x-intercept is not valid, which means there is no x-intercept. All right, so because there's actually a way which is called the b square minus 4ac, but I think that one will be covered in the Addmaths part. So for here, if you press the calculator and there's no root available for this equation, means that there is no x-intercept. All right, so there's no x-intercept, meaning the whole graph will be above the x-axis. Okay, so from here, y equals to 0, we found out that there are no x-intercept. All right, the next one is y-intercept. So how to find y-intercept is equals to x equals to 0, because when the graph passes through the y-axis, the x is always equals to 0. So from here, you can just sub x equals to 0 in this equation here, then you can get the value y is equals to 5 easily. All right, y is equals to 5. Okay, so with all this information, you can now start to sketch your graph. All right, there's a reason why it's called sketch. If the question says plot, then you will need at least 5 points, 5 points of x and 5 points of y, and plot accordingly. But usually the question will ask for sketch. All right, so if it's sketch, then you need these 4 points. All right, so first it's a minimum, so we know that it's a U curve. The turning point is -1 and 3. All right, so the turning point is -1. -1 is at this place, all right, and 3 is up here. So -1, we know that the turning point is somewhere here. All right, so we can just take note that it's at the second quadrant. All right, so what does the second quadrant mean? I will explain more in the future trigonometry videos, but for now we just know that the turning point is at this section here. All right, and then we have no x-intercept, and y is equals to 5. So from here, you can just straightly sketch your graph as such. All right, easily. Why? Because it's just sketch, right? So from here, you can state that it's -1 and 3, and here is 5. All right. One thing to take note that is that your graph must be logic. and must make sense. All right, you cannot have 5 below your 3. All right, so in this case, if you have conditions like if you found out that 5 is below your 3, then you know that your graph something is wrong. All right, so from here, y, x, and then you need to make sure you always have the origin here 0 to finish your sketch. And then lastly, if you have 2 or more graphs, but it's good to actually have the habit to write down the equation. Y is equals to 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. All right, so this is the first example here. All right, and now we're going to go to the second example here. Maybe you can pause the video and try it out yourself first before checking with my answer here. All right, e.g. number 2. All right, EG2. All right, sketch. All right, it's important that you see the keyword sketch here. In only you can proceed with your all the four steps. All right, 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. All right, so from number one here, we can get that it's a minimum graph because a is equals to 3, which is more than 0. All right, number 2 here, we need the turning point. All right, and number 3, x-intercept. Number 4, y-intercept. All right, so let's start to look for the turning point by completing the squares. All right, so y is equals to 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. All right, first thing, you need to make sure that your coefficient of x squared is 1, so you bring out the 3 minus 2 divided by 3. Then you start to create your square bracket, and then coefficient of x divided by 2, which is 5 divided by 6 square, always minus, square the d number here, 25 divided by 36, bring down the constant here, divided by 2 over 3. All right, this will be equivalent to x plus 5 divided by 6 square minus 36 over, this is 12, 24, 49. All right, so this and then last part you will expand it out, x plus 5 divided by 6 square minus 49 over 12. All right, so from here you can take note that this one must be equals to 0. So from this part, x plus 5 divided by 6 is equals to 0, x is equals to negative 5 over 6, and y is equals to negative 49 over 12. So from here, you can see that the minimum point here, turning point, all right, and then we know its minimum, it's equivalent to negative 5 divided by 6 and negative 49 over 12. All right, just double checking if it's correct. Negative 5 divided by 6, negative 49 divided by 12. All right, so next we are going to look for x-intercept. All right, so here, let's change color. X-intercept, all right, when y is equals to 0. So from this part here, all right, we can say 3x plus 5 divided by 6 square minus 49 divided by 12 is equals to 0. Then you can bring everything over, is equals to 49 divided by 12, and then 49 divided by 36. All right, yeah, should be correct. All right, so from here you will get x plus 5 divided by 6 equals to plus minus 49 divided by 36. And then from here, remember when you bring square over to the other side, the square root is always plus minus because a square is equals to a square, negative a square is equals to a square also. All right, so from here we get that x is equals to negative 5 divided by 6 plus minus 49 divided by 36. Right, so from here, if you would like to continue here, x will be equals to negative 5 divided by 6 plus 7 over 6, or equals to negative 5 divided by 6 minus 7 divided by 6. So from here we get 2 divided by 3, and here is negative 12 divided by 6. All right, 2 divided by 6, sorry. And here you can simplify it to 1 divided by 3, and from here you can get its negative 2. All right, so from here x-intercept, you found out that it's equivalent to, all right, it's equivalent to x equals to 1 divided by 3 and x equals to -2. All right, so last thing, y-intercept. All right, let's do it. Let's see how many space we have here. All right, okay, y-intercept. I'll just do it up here because down there we need to sketch the graph. All right, so y-intercept, x equals to 0. Okay, when x equals to 0, we sub 0, y is equals to -2. All right, no issue, y equals to -2. Therefore your y-intercept is equivalent to y equals to -2. All right, if the question asks you to state the coordinate of the intercept, make sure you write 0, -2. All right, the coordinates must be both. All right, so now we are to sketch the graph here. To sketch the graph, okay, so we draw a y-axis and an x-axis. All right, and always write the origin. Okay, so now we need to determine where is our turning point. Okay, our turning point is -5 divided by 6, which means it's the left side here, and -49 divided by 12, which is somewhere down here, the third quadrant. All right, so make sure that your graphs needs to come down here. All right, so your x-intercept is 1 divided by 3, which is somewhere here, and -2. So your graph will go somewhere like this, and then your y is -2. So your lowest point must be lower than your -2 because -49 divided by 12 is somewhere -4 point something. So your graph will go somewhere down here, reach the minimum point, and goes up and crosses 1 divided by 3. And so when you have all these informations, you can now sketch a graph. All right, so from here, you will first touch the x-axis at x equals to -2, goes down to the minimum point, all right, and then curves up and touches the negative y equals to -2 and goes up. All right, so this is a little bit ugly because I stopped in the middle. So you are to sketch it very fast. I mean, not very fast, to sketch it in one go so that the graph looks something like this. All right, it's still acceptable. So from here, you need to label your graph. All right, so first thing first, y is equals to 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. And then you need to label your x-intercept, which is -2 and 1 divided by 3. And then your y-intercept here is -2, right? Y-intercept -2, okay? X-intercept 1 divided by 3 and -2. And then the turning point, -5 divided by 6, all right? -5/6 and -49/12. All right, so to make your to check whether your graph makes sense, -5 divided by 6 is before -2, and then -49 divided by 12 is below -2. So this graph is legit. All right, so if you did not do any working wrong, this is the correct graph. Okay, so now we're going to go to the last example that I've prepared. Oh, no wonder. Okay, never mind. The last example I have prepared here is a maximum graph. Why? Okay, the example number 3. All right, the question asks you to sketch. Sorry, the question asks you to sketch y equals to -3x squared minus 2x plus 5. Okay, so still the four informations that we need. All right, number one, it's a maximum graph, which means it's an inverted U because a is equal to -3, which is lesser than 0. All right, number 2, we need the turning points. All right, or in other words, we need a maximum point. All right, and then number 3 is x-intercept, and number 4 is y-intercept. All right, so let's start. Okay, the first one here, we are gonna complete the squares. Okay, always complete the square. Whenever you get a quadratic equation, just do complete the square. It's surely gonna have any use because you see, if you get a quadratic equation, after you complete the square, you can find the inverse, you can find x-intercept, y-intercept, or you can even find the turning point. So always complete the square when you get a quadratic equation. All right, so first here we have y equals to -3x squared minus 2x plus 5. All right, completing the squares, we bring out the -3. We have x squared here plus 2 divided by 3 minus 5 divided by 3. All right, so to make sure nothing goes wrong, you can expand it in your mind. All right, so from here, we will create a square bracket equals to -3 x plus this one divided by 2, so it's multiply 1 divided by 2, so it's equals to 1 divided by 3 square. Always put minus. 1 divided by 3 square is 1 divided by 9, and then bring down the constant. All right, it's just that easy. So it's equals to negative 3 x 1 divided by 3 square minus 9. This is 1 plus 15. All right, 3 times 3 is 9, so 5 times 3 is 15. All right, so from here we get negative 3 x plus 1 over 3 square minus 16 over 9. All right, and you expand in, you will get 1 divided by 3 square plus plus in is 16 over 3. All right, it's just that easy. Okay, so this is from here we need to find the maximum point. All right, so the max point here, we need this one, max point. Max point, x is equals to negative 1 over 3, y is equals to 16 over 3, just by inspection, because by equals to 0 you just change this sign. All right, it's just that easy. Therefore max point is equals to negative 1 divided by 3, 16 over 3. All right, so let's write down here. Max point is negative 1 over 3, 16 over 3. All right, just double check if our information is correct. Negative 1 over 3, 16 over 3. All right, next we need to look for x-intercept. All right, so x-intercept here, let's use this. X-intercept, right? When y is equals to 0, we get this negative 3 x plus 1 over 3 square plus 16 over 3 is equals to 0. All right, so instead of bringing the constant to the other side, we bring this thing to the other side so that we remain positive. All right, this one is equals to 16 over 3, and then you bring the 3 other side. X plus 1 divided by 3 square is equals to 16 divided by 9, and then you will bring the square root to the other side, plus minus 16 over 9. Therefore, you get x is equals to negative 1 over 3 plus 4 over 3, or equals to negative 1 over 3 minus 4 divided by 3. And this one, you will get 3 divided by 3, which is equals to 1, and this will be equals to negative 5 over 3. Okay, so from here, you can write down your information here. X-intercept, you get x equals to 1, x equals to negative 5 over 3. All right, negative 5 over 3. Okay, very good. So the last part here, we are going to look for y-intercept. All right, y-intercept. Y-intercept is when x is equals to 0. Sub 0 into this equation here, you will easily get y equals to 5. No issue. All right, so from here, you will get y is equals to 5. Okay, so when you have all this information here, you can start to sketch your graph. All right, so from here you will need oh my god, why is the space so small? Okay, let's do this. We draw a straight line here, not straight line. We have y, and then we have this one, x. All right, and then the origin. So first we need to determine our turning point. Our turning point is negative 1 over 3 and 16 over 3. So negative 1 over 3 is here, 16 over 3 is up here. So our maximum point is again at the second quadrant. All right, and then it's a maximum graph, meaning it's an inverted U curve. And then x-intercept is negative 5 divided by 3 and 1. So it's 1 at the negative and 1 at the positive. All right, and then y is 5. So the turning point is here, and then y is 5. So the turning point must be larger than the y value, which is correct because 16 divided by 3 is 5 point something. All right, so after you have get all the information needed, you can just sketch your graph. All right, like this. Your turning point, your max point is here, your y-intercept is here, x-intercept can be anywhere, so you can just sketch like that. All right, so with this, you can say that this turning point is negative 1 divided by 3, 16 divided by 3, and then this x value is negative 5 divided by 3, and this x value is 1, and then this y value is 5. All right, it doesn't matter the distance is a bit weird, as well as it makes sense. Like 16 divided by 3 is larger than 5, therefore it's higher than 5. So this is the requirements for sketching a quadratic graph. All right, so yeah, I have made 3 examples, both minimum graph and maximum graph. All right, so not really have a lot of exceptions. So yeah, this marks the end of the video on how to sketch a quadratic graph. I hope you guys know how to sketch this because it's very useful in maths or even Addmaths in the future. I'm going to repeat this again when I was going into the Addmaths part. All right, so yeah, hope you guys will understand this, and hope I help you guys with this one if you don't know how to sketch a graph before this. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for watching.